Trust me, they will.
Yeah.
I got in line for the speed.
Oh, yeah.
And
It's right across
we
the
were
road.
out, I remember we were out.
Is this on?
Yeah.
It's fun.
Line through after minutes turn off.
Wearing for sunglasses because the sun is still reflecting off. It's crazy. I don't know.
Well, just think about winter.
Yeah.
2 hours.
I don't get it.
I don't think that-
What do you do?
I'll take more.
You know, I've seen all the bars. Yeah, big fireplaces.
Yeah.
That's for the winter.
That's for the one.
Although, let's say.
Okay, everybody. Let's get started. Mayor can't hear me. Good afternoon, everyone. John, can you hear us? John Clark?
Yes.
Oh, good. It works. So this is Doug Farnsley. Welcome to Prospect City Hall. This is a special meeting of the Prospect City Council. Today's date is Thursday, August 6, 2026. It's 3:00 p.m. There really is two items of business on the agenda. The first item is three items. The first item is the mayor's report. We are making progress on annexation. And that'll be the main topic of business today. We're making progress on really the entire project. Mayor Brainerd's been with us for the last 24 hours, and he's here through this evening. So we feel like we've had a good day. We had a meeting with Rotary this morning, and Wes was there. Mayor Brainerd was there. I thought we had a good presentation. Usually there are about 15 people at the Rotary meetings at Prospect Ocean Rotary. There were, I'd say, well over 50 this morning. So it was not all members. Most of the people who were there were not members. It was very well attended. I think my impression was it was well received. It was a good update. So with that said, I'll move to the next item on the agenda, and that's an update on the Downtown Prospect Capital Project by Mayor Jim Brainerd.
I was told last time to stay behind the microphone and not touch it, so I'll try to do better. The project is going very well. I'm absolutely amazed at how much has taken place in the last year and a month since we started. We also had a meeting today with fire officials in the fire district to talk about street widths and making sure equipment can get through and properly respond. And I think we're in good shape there as well. We've in the process of asking the TIF attorney that's been retained by the city to start setting up the TIF district for the public's area, since that's going to be a new building. It can flow into our TIF area. Annexation is proceeding as soon as it's official. The TIF area will be set up for that too. Kentucky has two different statutes. One's a 20-year, a 15-year statute, rather one's 35-year statute. You want as long as amortization period as possible for a TIF district. So we are, the difference is you have to go to the state and get approval for the 35-year TIF district. Dan Moriarty has joined Wes's team. He was Carmel residents helped me for the last 30 years in Carmel and has tremendous reputation, graduate of the University of Dane Walsh School of Architecture, and is starting to make some modifications to the plan to make them more buildable and more practical. We working hard on the cost of what the roundabout will be out in front of the head property, and have an estimate on that, and looking for different options as to how that could be funded at this time. The Moorhead scholars were here and did some wonderful work on what the uses of the public building could be. And as mayors, the council had access to their report.
I believe so. I believe a lot of folks were here for that, but I think we've got it archived.
I haven't seen the red one.
Okay. I'll check on that.
Yeah. I
sure
think it was to think they were college freshmen and did that great a job. It's the excitement and it's invigorating to see young people all excited about changing the world. They were great students. So I think we're in a good track. Wes Johnson has said as soon as we get the zoning and the annexation followed by the zoning completed, talking for you, but you're ready to close, and we want to get that hurdle out of the way as quickly as we can. And that's the purpose of the meeting today. I think a lot of you met Dan Moriarty when you were up in Carmel, but Dan, do you want to give a little report what you've been doing since?
Yeah, step up to the lectern if you would, please.
Oh, before Dan starts, one thing we also did, we're looking at district energy. I believe we did this in Carmel. it is so much more efficient. You know, you have a heater. Just think of your home thermostat, and you have a heater, 68 degrees in your house. You set it to 72. Turns on the furnace. The furnace spends a long time heating up. Then when it's hot enough, it sends the air up to turn it up to 72. Then it turns off and cools off. And then half an hour later, does it again, over and over and over, all day and all night. And if you have an energy center, instead of, it'll heat up one building, instead of turning off, it'll just transfer to the next building, then the next one, and it cycles. And I was told by Les Olds once, 50% more. One of Dan's colleagues that helped us, not with us anymore, but he said it was 50% more efficient than the traditional systems. And so we've located a firm out of Canada, actually, that builds and finances these, Community Development Corp, where the city could own it and control it. But we think it's so much more efficient, we can carve out and negotiate with this firm a revenue stream for the city for maintenance of this area going forward. It might not be a lot, but all these little revenue streams added up make a difference. And so we're looking at district energy, where all the electricity needs for this, heating needs and cooling for the entire development, and room for expansion, if we go over to Timbercrest someday, could be handled by this energy center. Everybody still have their individual thermostat. It would just come from one central plant, which was drawn into the plan. So we've been working on that as well. But I'll turn it over to Dan to give you an update on what he's been doing.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak today. I primarily the last few weeks of just trying to get our wits about us and understand, the scope of everything we're dealing with. And every Friday we have a phone call with Wes's team, of course, the mayor, the attorneys, civil engineers, because my job primarily is one of helping the process. Just, what do we have to get done this week? What milestones do we need to hit going forward to make sure that we keep the project on track and moving forward? We're all on the same page, because there's a lot of moving pieces, and of course, a lot of stakeholders and a lot of interest in what happens, which is all great. So we've been researching grades and floodplains and some of the traffic requirements and so forth, and trying to improve the plan with Wes's team's input on, really making it something that's marketable and doable and will really, draw people to downtown Prospect. So essentially that's been it.
Do we have a copy of your drawing? I can hold it up. You can maybe
see the
difference.
I'll just do this. This is not quite ready for prime time plan, but
I think it's important for the council to see how the process works on it too.
as you can see, it's just tracing paper laid over the old master plan. And essentially all we looked at was the way the road kind of passed through the center here and lined up with, maybe this future extension. We just kind of squared things up a little bit. So whether that future extension happens there or not, our plan still, I think, is a viable and likable space that's a little bit more well-defined with hard edges to it, as we like to see in a city plaza. And then we've adjusted a few things to try to miss a couple of the parcels that are in maybe not quite on board yet with joining the plan. So we this future connection to River Road, we've looked at straightening that and kind of shifting some of those lots down just to take these lots out of play potentially. So it's still a moving target and still things that we're working through the details, of course, but trying to take some positive steps for something we can begin to build. The survey crews, I think, have also been released to start getting the meets and bounds for the annexed areas and all those sorts of technical things that need to be done. So
Thank you, Dan. And Mayor, any questions for Jim or Dan from the council? Okay, thank you all.
Also, just say quickly, if anyone wants to give me their card, or if you're interested in getting copied on anything, let me know and I'd be happy to email you anything that the group comes up with.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Wes, can I call on you? You got anything to report or offer?
So we've enjoyed being a part of the process. Obviously, every week is a week that we learn, and every week is a week that we meet new people. Dan and his team we met up in Carmel several weeks ago when we did a tour, and I think one thing he's helping most with is taking this big master plan that really is it's a big vision. It's beautiful renderings that was pointed out this morning, but we've got to take the master plan and the vision, and we've got to get it onto a granular level. You know, how many quantifiable square feet can be leased, and how many parking spots goes with those, and where are the parking spots? And our team, Scott and myself and Krista, you know, we've been meeting with future tenants, and that's the questions those people ask. You know, how many square feet and where is my parking going to be? So we had this great master plan, and what we told people a long time ago is that although that plan looks like we're really far along, it was really the beginning of getting into the granular detail that Dan and his team are taking it to kind of that next level. So it's for us, it's probably that part of it's less pretty, but it is the detail that we need to be able to financially model it and quantify the TIF funding and stuff like that. So Jim has pulled people together. They need data, hard data that Dan's team is helping create. So that's been a whole kind of behind the scenes thing that there's nothing glorious about it, but it is part of the process. It's been fun to be equally as part of that process as anything else. We have had significant interest from what I would say is like end users, you know, businesses that are wanting to come in there from both local businesses, but also national businesses. And one thing I think I want you guys to hear is that, you know, from a developer standpoint, there's certain national vendors, for instance, that when they see these out parcel lots that are up on 42, we have 2 of them that are like the most valuable parcels of ground. We were in Vegas a couple months ago at a big developers conference where developers go to take a plan to meet end users, and that's where you meet up and you strike a deal and you come back home and celebrate a big win, which typically is in the way of a big land lease or them purchasing it. And I'll tell you guys this, we had everyone approach us there about this plan and prospect that you would ever want from a developer's perspective, with the difference of we don't want one of these national vendors to be the forefront of our development. So they've been to our office, they've courted us, they want the property, and we've had to tell pretty much every one of them, we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the dollars you're offering, because in any normal scenario, we would have signed LOIs and gotten them signed up as quick as we could have. But those are not the type of tenants that the city of Prospect or the residents want long-term here. So I think it's important for people to know that and hear that. There's some national gas chain vendors that want to be there. There's some types of fast food restaurants that like would pay big dollars to be there. But we don't believe that needs to be the forefront of the entrance to this development that we see. So those people, quite frankly, we've turned them away. And it's interesting. I mean, these people are coming from out of town to meet with us. They make us sign an NDA in person before we meet with them. And then they tell us who it is, and we have to let them down. And they literally walk out of the office shaking their head like, these guys are idiots. They think they're developers. They have no idea what they just blew. But we have a bigger plan. And we've said that from the very beginning, that this development is going to be special, that the end users are going to be handpicked for what we want. We've told people we're going to do that. And I think it's important for people to know that time is here, and those people are here, and they want to be in Prospect. But we also have local businesses that have reached out that are interested. And we've got restaurateurs that are downtown and in the Nulu district, and have restaurants all around Louisville who equally want to be out here, but they're local restaurateurs. They're people that live in and around the Louisville area. They operate multiple businesses. Every one of them is successful. You would know all of them. And those are the kind of people we want out here. So the interest is there. The live work units, which is the businesses that have like an office building downstairs and housing or office space upstairs. We have pretty much every one of those spaces committed. And it's from local people who primarily built out the live work units at Norton Commons. They were uber successful with them. And they basically said, we'll take every one of them you'll sell us over here. So between the live works, the multifamily, the mom and pop shops, we feel like, you know, as we progress this plan and Dan gets us greater detail, we're going to have these quantifiable documents we can take. And we hope that as we close on this property, that we're going to have the majority of it pre-leased or pre-sold, which is a phenomenal place to be, not just for us as the developer, but for the city, because it means that going to market, you know, we get closed on it, we start the development, it'll be mass construction for a year or two, and then all of a sudden it comes to life and we get to use it. It's not a 10-year, you know, build it and hope they come kind of deal. It's our goal is to have the end users in place, and we're building out their spaces as we're putting in the road. So it's been, just wanted you guys, because you're not a part of obviously every discussion that happens at our office, but it's been incredibly positive. We did have a meeting at Rotary this morning. We've had, I bet 20 meetings at our office that we would consider public meetings. There are people calling us that represent an HOA. It's other businesses that just want to know what's going on. And every person that's done that, we've housed them, whether it was a 30-minute meeting or a 3-hour meeting, we've had both. We've offered it to anybody to come up, help understand the plan. If there's things we can do that you think that would benefit it, let us know and we'll get it back to the design team. So I think overall the feel we get is that people are excited and they're positive. There's, you know, some valid concerns that we're working on, but we're excited at where we are today. And Jim said it best, to be where we are today with this size development in and around Louisville, Kentucky is, quite frankly, it's amazing, you know, that we've come this far. So we appreciate all the help.
Thanks, Wes.
Thank you. I just want to comment briefly on what Wes talked about, local businesses versus the big national chains. We turned down more national chains in Carmel than you can imagine. And we got our developers to do it because we're negotiating the TIF and said, we really want local places. In fact, in many cases, not many, but enough cases, we designed smaller than normal footprints for these retailers too, because some of the local places can't afford the standard 3, 4, or 5,000 square foot print retail store that the big chains want. They might want 1,000 square feet or 800 square feet. Then you get these little local businesses can afford it, and it creates it's so much more interesting than just seeing a bunch of national chains up and down the street. And we're lucky to have a developer that understands that as well, Wes. Thank you. It'll make the project a lot more interesting and valuable to the community, I think, over time. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it. Bob, Jacob, can I call on you to add any comments you might have?
Just confined to this project
Yeah, I
or
think
to the
so.
public, just this project? Okay. Only that every member of my committee is really excited about what we're doing. I don't think they understand this was really informative today on how far along, let's say, the pre-leasing and things like that are going. So I think some of the apprehensions and angst that some people have had, you know, over whether or not this is going to be a success or how it's going to financially work out, I think Wes has probably put a lot of that to rest. So we're looking forward to when we can actually get involved with, you know, looking at the different buildings and styles and designs and materials and things like that, so we can move ahead. But we got a lot of committed people on the committee.
Thank you, Bob. Thanks for all your efforts. So that concludes the update on the Downtown Prospect Capital Project and comments from citizens, unless there's anybody I missed who'd like to speak. With that, we'll move to new business. The only item of new business is the first reading of ordinance 667, 2026, an ordinance relating to intent of the city of Prospect, Kentucky to annex tract of land, the areas that we've called the head property, some additional land on River Road. So is there a motion to give a first reading to that ordinance?
So moved.
Ms. Leonard made the motion. Is there a second?
Yes.
Mayor Evans seconded. Is there discussion? So the city of Louisville has completed their process. They've given final approval to the annexation. The process is now we adopt or consider adopting an ordinance with regard again to the annexation. We learned as we've gone through this process, we were prepared to move forward with a second reading tomorrow, but we had gotten ahead of ourselves by about 2 months. So there's a 60-day waiting period, which gives residents a further chance to object if they want to object. But that's not a concern to me. I think we got 75% of the registered voters. I think we're in very good shape. So with that, if we're ready to proceed to a vote. Ms. Leonard?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Mayor Evans?
Yes.
Don Gibson?
Yes.
John Clark?
Yes.
Okay, that's approved. And yeah, Sandra, I think you made the motion if you'll.
Well, you almost read it. An ordinance relating to the intent of the city of Prospect, Kentucky to annex a tract of land situated approximately east of Harrods Creek, west of Timber Ridge Drive, north of US Highway 42, and south of the Ohio River, contiguous to and adjoining the present boundary of the city of Prospect, Kentucky, being in the unincorporated area of Jefferson County, and more particularly hereinafter described.
Thank you, Sandra. And I'll read the further sentence that appears on the agenda. This ordinance seeks to annex the Can Carla subdivision, adjacent property commonly referred to as the head property, and several parcels along River Road. So that's the final item of business on the agenda. This is a special meeting, so there will be no further business to come before the council. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Made a motion to adjourn.
Okay, Mr. Gibson made the motion.
Second.
Second. Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that's we are adjourned. Thanks everyone for being here. Congratulations to everyone for the great work we're doing.